Thank you, my brother. So, good evening, everyone who is on the call tonight. Glad to see those who have came out. So, this month we're talking about purpose, and just in case anyone has missed any of the last couple of weeks, I'm just going to do a quick 30-second recap on where we are to bring you up to speed because these lessons build on to each other. So, we talked about purpose. We started with this idea that we were all created for a purpose, that God created every single one of us to do something specific for his kingdom. And that purpose is service to God and using our talents and abilities and the gifts that he's blessed us with to serve others. Now, we know a lot of people out here would live their purpose if they knew their purpose. So if you don't know your purpose, Matthew 7:7-8 just tells you if you ask, you will find out. And that's an acronym for ask, seek, and knock. So you go to God and he'll reveal the purpose to you. So that was week one. Last week, we talked about potential. And when we talked about potential, we said potential, you have to have two beliefs. You have to believe in yourself and you have to believe in God and marry those two things together so you can go out and live the potential and live the purpose that God has put you on this earth for. And that you also have to be in the right environment. You have to be around the right people. You have to have the right mindset to make sure that you are growing to fulfill and maximize that potential. And we also talked about how that potential is kind of like cups. So when you think about a cup, it's made to hold a certain amount of liquid. And when that cup is maximized or to the top, that's when you know the cup is doing what it's supposed to do at its best potential. And when that cup isn't, then it's not fulfilling everything it could be. So are we giving God everything that we have? Are our cups filled, empty, half filled, and where are we at that? And lastly, we talked about last week is you have to expect to win. You going into this purpose, you have to believe your potential. And if you know that God has created you for a specific reason, obviously he's going to make sure that you're successful. So you have to expect to win. Now, this week, as you can see from the screen, we're talking about power. Unleash your power. So now that you know your purpose, what are you going to do with it? And now that you know it and believe your potential, the next step is to act. So if purpose was more on the big idea of what we're here for, then the potential was starting to put us in that mindset of what we need to do to get to that purpose. Then next is the action, the power that it takes to bring that purpose forward. Okay, so our scripture for this evening will be 1 Corinthians 15, verse 58. Therefore, my dear brothers and sisters, stand firm. Let nothing move you. Always give yourselves fully to the work of the Lord, because you know that your labor in the Lord is not in vain. So we're talking about persistency and consistency. Persistence and consistency. Stand firm, let nothing move you. That's persistence. Always give yourselves fully. That's consistent. To unleash your power, to live the life, the purpose that God has created you for, you're going to have to both be persistent and consistent. So let's get into them, because I think a lot of times people see these words, persistency and consistency, and while they can be somewhat closely related and they can be cousins, they are not the same thing. These are not synonyms of each other. These two things are totally different. So let's just go ahead and break it down. Persistency, to be persistent, is to continue to do something or try to do something even though it's difficult or other people want you to stop. That's persistence. Consistency is constantly adhering to, I can't see this on my screen, the same course of behaviors, principles, or a course of action. That's consistency. Persistency results when your internal fortitude overcomes external challenges and circumstances. Consistency is when your internal fortitude overcomes your internal challenges and circumstances. So with persistence, you're kind of fighting things on the outside. With consistent, you're fighting yourself, you're overcoming yourself and the things that you are doing that's going to stop you from getting to where you want to be. Persistence is overcoming the challenge to get started. To be persistent, there's some wall or barrier that has to be broke through initially, that you're going to have to sometimes work at it, sometimes for a while, sometimes not so long, to get to that point, to say you were persistent to get to a certain point. Consistency is persevering once you started. So once that wall has been broken through, or once that barrier has been overcome, what are you going to do at that point? Are you going to stop, or are you going to keep going? Persistency can sometimes give you a quick victory. And I think about it in sports. Sometimes it's a 3-hour game. So you're just going through, and at the end of that 3 hours, if you were persistent enough and adhere to enough of the right principles, you can come away with a victory. Persistence, even though a lot of times people think you have to do it for a while, you don't necessarily have to. You just have to be resolute in what you're doing so you can get to the point where you want to get to. The victory associated with consistency requires endurance. You can't do anything for a short time and call yourself consistent. So we have now here a basis of the difference between these two, because they're going to be the basis of us moving forward in our lesson tonight. And one thing that hopefully can try to help bring this home a little bit, or just give us a clearer view on persistency versus consistency, just in case what I just said might not have landed with you. For me personally, since sometime in 2020, around August or September-ish, I started on this journey to do at least 30 minutes of exercise every single day. And I have done that for a little over 3 years now, every single day. Now, it doesn't look the same every day. Some days it's just a walk. Some days it can be a run. Some days it's lifting. Some days it's just some yoga and stretching or something. So it's different stuff all the time usually. But what happened was, before I had kids, I was pretty consistent with my exercise program. I always liked to, it was just fun to me. I liked it. I was even, when I went on my honeymoon, we were in Jamaica at an all-inclusive. I worked out 3 or 4 times that week at the gym there. That's just, what I liked to do. So, but once I had kids, I was fighting just to stay awake during the day. So the gym, it went. So for about 3 years there, after my daughter was born, after my son was born, I really didn't exercise. So when I got back into my exercise regimen, I had to be persistent at first, because every day you get to a point where you're like, okay, I don't feel like working out. Well, I worked out yesterday, but I had to get into a rhythm. And then once you get there for about a month, it's easy to say, I worked out for a month, I can take a day off. But when you take one day off, then it becomes easier to take 2. And before you know it, you back into a rut. So hopefully that'll give you a little bit on just to kind of help you get the difference between persistency and consistency. I had to be persistent at first to fight all those things. Now it's consistent. I've been doing it for so long. It's harder actually for me to not work out than it is for me to work out. Now, I schedule my day around that. Like tomorrow, I'm getting up early because it's the only window of my day that I'm going to be able to exercise, because my day is so busy tomorrow. So that's persistency and consistency. My wife said it like this when I was telling her about the book. She said, persistency is the foundation and consistency is the house. And that's a pretty cool quote that she came up with. And I searched the internet for it and I couldn't find it anywhere. So I'm going to attribute it to her. But both of those things take intentionality. In order to unleash your power, you must first be persistent and fight the thought that you are powerless, and then let consistency kick in and take over. Okay. So persistence is power. When I say that, persistence is not measured in size or strength. Persistence is measured in will. Whoever usually has the strongest will usually be persistent enough to overcome and reach what they want to reach. So you have to ask the question with persistence of, how much does it matter to you? How much does it matter? Because the smallest thing can defeat the biggest thing if the smallest thing is persistent enough. A few Sundays ago, I took my daughter on a daddy-daughter date. And I love the time that I get to spend with her, especially now while she's young, because they're very cheap. All I have to do is get her some ice cream and she's good. So I spend about $10. She's good. She's happy. We get to spend time together, and it's a great time. But afterwards, after we finished our date, there's some shops over there that she wanted to go to. Now she's only 5 years old, right? But she knows Marshalls, Five Below, all these stores that are right over there by where we get our ice cream from. So she said, Daddy, I want to go to these stores. Now, I didn't really want to go to those stores, right? I was like, we spent time with ice cream, talking, whatever you talk to with a 5-year-old. And I was like, it's been a long day. I'm ready to go home. But she kept asking. So her persistency won. We went into the stores. We walked around the stores 5 times to see the same things and walked from store to store. So her persistence won in that, even though she's much smaller than me. However, my persistence won when she started asking for stuff, because I was like, we just had ice cream, so no, you're not getting no candy. You have enough toys. The toys are probably going to be broken tomorrow anyway. I'm not spending no money on toys right now. So my persistency won in that. But that's just a lesson to show you that it's not necessarily the size that wins. It's how much do you want it? How much does it matter to you? It didn't matter as much to me for us to walk around more, even though it wasn't something that I really cared to do at that time. However, it did matter to me to spend more money on stuff. So at that point, my persistence won. So I say all that to say this. Is your purpose important enough to you that you're persistent enough to overcome whatever is standing in your way? Is it important enough for you to unleash your power, to really pursue it? It should be, because it should matter to you, because it matters to God, because that's what he created you for. But that's the question that you have to ask with yourself, okay? So that's persistence. Consistence, when I talk about consistency, if persistency is power, consistency is proper, okay? And what I mean when I say that is everyone is consistent, but proper consistency is the actual key to success, because lazy people are consistently lazy. They do the same lazy things every day, and hardworking people are consistently hardworking. They get up and they consistently discipline themselves to make sure that they're winning or doing whatever they're supposed to do. Because consistency comes down to one word that we all have, and that's called habits. I heard someone once say that successful people have habits. No, successful people have good and proper habits. Everyone has habits. The question is, do you have good habits or do you have bad habits? One habit that I know that I share with every person on this call right now, everyone on this call is over 20 years old or around that age. But if you've been living for that long, you all eat. Every single one of us eat. So we have to ask ourselves, are our eating habits, are they good habits or are they bad habits? Are they giving me energy to do what I want to do, or are they making me drag? You have to look at things like that. What does your day look like in the morning? If you work from home, for my people who work from home, are you rolling out of bed 5 minutes before work to get logged into your computer? Or are you getting up and having some prayer and devotion and thought time with God? And maybe you're not a morning person, okay? And if you're not, that's fine. But if you're not a morning person, then what are you doing after work? If you do want to roll out of bed those 5 minutes before, what are you doing after work? Are you coming home and watching the Housewives or watching a sporting event every single night? Or are you putting some of that into your purpose, or putting some of that into doing things that are productive? When COVID first hit, it's a tough thing. COVID was a tough thing, but it was a blessing in disguise to me in one way. It really gave me the time to tap into searching for and doing what the things that I said I always wanted to do that I said I did not have time for. When COVID first hit, I get up early in the morning, and I get up early. I was up early in the morning. I was usually the first person to work. I was trying to beat traffic and stuff like that. But also, I just get up early now. It's not always fun. I don't always want to do it, but I do it. But when COVID hit, I thought it was going to be 2 weeks to a month. I really did. So when it first hit, I kept getting up at the same time as if I was going to the office, because I didn't want to be going to the office, 2 weeks or a month later after everything had calmed down, and have a rude awakening of getting that extra 2 to 3 hours of sleep. So I kept getting up at my regular time and doing what I need to do. But guess what that did? That allowed me the opportunity to do more things. That allowed me the opportunity to be more productive, because I didn't have to travel or commute to or from work. So right there, I had an extra, for me, over 2 hours in my day. What was I going to do at that time? Was I going to just waste it? Was I going to watch TV? Was I going to just chill? Or was I going to be productive and do some of those things that I said that I wanted to do? Consistency requires that you create opportunities within your day to accomplish the things that you want to accomplish. And I say create opportunities in your day because a lot of time we can be confused or fooled by this concept of time management. We cannot manage time. We hear people say, hey, make time for the things that you want to make time for, or you'll make time for it if you want to, or find time to do the things that you want to do. Time, you can't make time. You can't create time. God created time. Time was here before any of us was here. So you cannot make something that was made and existed before you. And you can't find time. Time is not lost. It's ever present. Time is continuing to tick every single day. And even if you could find time, you probably won't find time anyway, because there's always things competing for your time. But one thing I do know about everybody is we all have 24 hours in a day. It might look different for some people due to different obligations and different responsibilities, but we all have 24. So since we all have 24 and it's measured and it's finite, then the only thing you can do is say, okay, what am I going to do within these 24? What's going to come off my plate for me to do what I really want to do? What am I going to sacrifice to get to where I want to get to? And that's what had to happen when I started back on my exercise plan. I had to get to the point where things had to come off the plate. Even sometimes if it's good things, they have to come off the plate, right? Coming home and saying, hey, I just want to chill out for a few minutes. Not necessarily bad, right? But how long am I going to chill out? Am I going to watch a TV show? What am I going to do? To be successful at anything is going to take consistency. Doing something once or twice is not going to get you there, right? If you want a better marriage, one date night a month, maybe even one date night a week could possibly help you get there, but it probably won't if you're not consistently doing those things that you want to do or you need to do the other days of the week. If you want a better relationship with your kids, taking them to Disney once or twice a year isn't going to help. It's just going to leave you lighter in the wallet. What are you consistently doing all those other days? You want a promotion at work. What are you doing? Are you coming in? Did you come in early all week and you want kudos? Or are you coming in early every single day? Are you working hard every single day? The principle of proper consistency, it can stretch into any and every single area of your life. And the beautiful thing about it is it only takes small changes, very small changes, to be consistent and to live a life of great productivity and to unleash your power. So the consistency has to be proper. It has to be done to a point where it becomes a habit, because once it becomes a habit, the beautiful thing about that is you go into autopilot. You do it without even thinking about it. You do it without even thinking about it. I love this quote here. Success doesn't come from what you do occasionally. It comes from what you do consistently. So look at yourself, see what are you doing consistently. To achieve success, you must consistently do the things that lead to success. And we have to realize that we're limitless. I don't know how many people saw this movie. And this, I don't remember when this movie came out. It was a while ago, Limitless with Bradley Cooper. If you haven't checked it out, it might be something good to check out if you are just wanted to watch something that's kind of interesting. But in this movie, long story short, he was a writer, and he took this magic pill, and I forgot where he got it from because I saw the movie so long ago, but he got a pill. I think it was his neighbor or some girl or something. He took a pill, and basically this pill unleashed his mind to like crazy levels of genius, and his life just started to take off beyond his wildest imaginations. But what happened eventually is, he got these promotions. He started to get success and achieve success at high levels. But eventually the pill started to run out. And when the pill started to run out, obviously he started to spiral. He started in a downward spiral. Now the movie ends on a good note because I guess they find some way to mass produce the pill, and then he gets back to the levels that he was with the pill. But he was relying on this pill to make him limitless and to just take him beyond his wildest dreams. Ephesians 3:20. Now to him who is able to do immeasurably more than all we ask or imagine, according to his power that is at work within us. We also have a magic pill that allows us to be limitless, and that pill is God. Now to him who is able, him right there is God. So this is saying now God is able to do immeasurably more. Immeasurable is limitless. That's what that means. You cannot measure it. It's limitless. So God is able to do, in a limited amount, more than all we ask or imagine. And I never even thought about this part of the verse here, ask or imagine, until I was writing my book. We can't ask for something that we can't imagine. Now that seems very simple, but that's also a very deep concept when you think about it. Someone, when Henry Ford created the Model T, from what I remember on the pictures, there wasn't even a top over it. Now we have flying cars actually being tested. They're in the concept phases. They have a few that they're actually testing, and that some people have used to see, how they work. Flying cars, you go from just having a car with no top on it to flying cars and some of the stuff we have now, self-driving cars and everything else. Because obviously technology has advanced a lot, but why did that technology advance? Because someone imagined that it could, and someone dared to take a chance to make these inventions and do some of these things. The first phone we had, a cord plugged into a wall. No one would have ever thought we'd be walking around basically with computers in our pocket that we call phones. And basically talking is more of a secondary function on it. We text more. We can order food on the phone without calling or talking to someone. We can order rides on the phone. We can do so much on our phone. And if no one would have ever imagined that, then that would have never came into being. There's something right now that I can't imagine that 5 years down the road is going to be an invention, and 10 or 15 years down the road is just going to be something normal that, is part of our everyday lives. So God is saying, not only can I do what you ask, I can do what you can't even ask because you can't even imagine or think about it. And this is all according to his power that is at work within us. So if God's power is limitless and that power is at work within us, guess what that makes us? Limitless. It makes us limitless. All right. So the only thing that we have to do is access that power. That's the beauty of it. We're the only ones who can block the access of our power from God. We get to control it. But when we stay connected to that power source, we too are limitless. Now, end with this quote here. The most common way people give up their power is by thinking they don't have any. You have power. God says you have power. God's power is working within you. All you have to do is unleash it to live a life of power. Thank you. The lesson is yours.